Hello and welcome. My name is Jessica Jem, and in today's video, I explore AI's potential as a tool. If you're looking for my opinion on AI, that's in another video. For this one, I'm putting into practice some of the things I mentioned in it for how to use AI as a tool and not a replacement. The other week, I was challenged by my household AI enthusiast to try something, to put AI and myself to the test, as a team. He gave me this rough sketch to start with, and asked me to put together a piece of art using AI as a stepping off point. I had full creative control. He just asked that I include the elements of a wizard, arrows, and some type of shielding, whilst also putting my own creativity and skill into it with the AI's assistance. As you can see, I generated several different wizards trying to get the pose I was looking for, but none of them quite fit, so I cobbled a few of the different versions together to create a cohesive character that would fit in the perspective of the scene. I also put together my own original outfit that varies from the ones I was given. I generated a slew of arrows coming towards him, and honestly this angle would have been hard to figure out without it as a reference. I also prompted a bunch of arrow designs that I mixed and matched to end up with my various arrow types. The portals I got were useful to move around for their perspective, and I also took inspiration from their shapes for the design I solidified later. For the background, I got this image, which I zoomed in on to be the size and location I needed, and then roughly outlined the main elements of composition, changing a few around where I needed more space or clarity. I also developed several others to use as style references. I'm not very familiar with backgrounds, so I don't have a way of doing them consistently, but with the examples to study from, I was able to find a really neat look to emulate, while also using my own knowledge and abilities to bring it all together. I was able to study the way that the foreground, midground, and background were broken down, and how the perspective worked while also feeling very natural and ancient, seeing how line quality and texture could be used to draw focus to certain areas and push back others. I have worked on backgrounds before, but always struggled with layout and detail, so much to the point that even though I really wanted to learn to do them, I would avoid them as I didn't have the time or motivation to dedicate to making them right. AI, however, was able to lighten that load for me. This piece was my second attempt at working in tandem with AI this way. The first was a personal piece, which I generated the sketch for, reworked some details, layout and anatomy, and then lined and rendered it myself. For that one, it felt a little more AI than I wanted, since I had used the majority of what I was given as it was. The workflow for this piece was much more personally satisfying, because I wasn't tracing anything nor copying any element directly, but rather referencing, breaking down, taking in, and putting out a combination of everything I had learned. Kinda like AI does itself, but as an intentional creation by an artist looking to learn and grow. I had a lot of fun taking the basic blocks that I had been given and putting them together to make something I'm proud of, but still also feel as my own work. I'd actually love to hear your opinions on this type of process in the comments, and if you think this is an acceptable way to use AI as a tool for art. I'm still trying to fully figure that out for myself, but as far as this goes, I was able to create something much better than I normally can, while also being faster and having a lot more fun. Now, not to say this was actually fast, because it still took 25 hours, but that would have been much longer without the help, or may never have been created at all. A way to look at it is kind of like this. I am not very good at traditional art. I don't have very great control or sense of color, or at least I didn't at the start of my art journey. I still have a ton to learn, but because of being able to use digital tools like a perfect eraser and an undo button, resizing, layer styles, and effects, I was able to develop my skills in a way that was a lot less messy and frustrating for me. My art is about creating fun pictures that people will like. Sometimes just for me, sometimes whoever I make it for, sometimes for whoever may happen across it and go, "That's neat," for 2 seconds and move on. If I can do that in a way that's easier for me without losing my touch to it, it seems pretty good to me. It's going to continue to be a journey of finding a balance, making sure I keep learning, growing, and improving purposefully, and not leaning on AI as a crutch. As the world moves forward, so must we, but that doesn't have to mean sacrificing what we have, but instead growing it alongside us to fit how we feel is best in the current circumstances. What do you think? Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was interesting to you. If you enjoyed this video, please grant me a like, and if you'd like to see some more of my art, subscribe to join me. That's all for now, so farewell and have a wonderful day.